And so at the end of it, I asked him if he would please sign my interview notes, because I had to turn those in with my final paper, which would be an article about it. And so he was doing that, and I said, if my teacher calls you to ask if I really interviewed you, please don't tell her I cried. And so he said, oh, I won't, but how are you going to explain all those tear stains in your interview notes? And so my teacher did see the tear stains, and she said, well, maybe the next time you won't cry as much. And maybe the time after that you won't cry at all. And maybe one of these days you're really going to enjoy interviewing, which indeed is what came to pass. I became a professional journalist, worked for a number of publications, and written 15 books, and later became a psychologist. And so I have a lot of interpersonal contact. I do a lot of speaking, which would have been inconceivable to me at that point when I first met Davy. And because of the fact that, the final paper I did with my interview with Davy was my first national magazine sale to Ingenue magazine. And I think it was one of the first national articles about Davy. This was a year and a half or so before the Monkeys. So years passed, and I always had a special place in my heart for him, because he really helped me start overcoming my fear. And I've been just exceedingly grateful to him. And I always thought I sure would love to thank him sometime. And so 22 years after our initial interview, I had a chance to do that, which was kind of a wonderful thing about life being very circular. I was promoting one of my books, and he was promoting the first edition of They Made a Monkey Out of Me. And we ended up in the same talk show, interestingly enough, in Chicago. And so I got to the show first, and I'm sitting in the green room with the host, and he said, oh, the other guest on the show is Davy Jones. And I said, oh my God, this is so great. And I told him the story. And he said, oh, that's wonderful. Well, we'll tell that on the show. And then I went to get makeup done. In the meantime, Davy arrived, and the host filled him in on what I had told him. And I'm not really sure he remembered. I doubt very much if he remembered the encounter. But when I came back into the green room, he greeted me like an old friend. And then when we were very briefly alone, he said to me, can I ask you a question? And I said, I am glad to see you this time. I'm not going to cry. And he said, no, what I mean is, that was the time, a very heady time for me. And I was very young, and a lot of wonderful things were happening. And I think sometimes I didn't always handle things as well as I would have liked. And I just hope I was kind. And I said, oh, you were wonderful. You couldn't have been better, and you really helped me to start to overcome my fear. And he took my hand, and he said, I'm so glad. And then he said, if I had an ego then, I no longer do, because I have 2 teenage daughters. And they're very quick to tell me anything that's wrong with me. And almost as if on cue, I think it was one of his daughters who walked in and said, Dad, you're not going to wear that jacket on the show, are you? He said, see what I mean. And so then we got called to the set, and he squeezed my hand. We did the show, and that was the last time that I saw him. But I was very grateful that I had a chance to thank him for his great kindness. And reflecting today on those 2 experiences, the thing that comes up for me most of all is the thought that I think the true measure of a person's character is not how they act on TV, or when the spotlight is on them, or on the red carpet or with someone who is rich and famous. The true measure of a person's character is how they behave when no one is looking, with somebody who isn't rich and isn't famous and is scared and young and shy. And by that measure, Davy Jones was a treasure of a human being. Thank you very much.